U.S. is the largest consumer, producer, and exporter of corn in the world.
Well, if you're wondering why farmers are so concerned about their farm finances right now, they really just can't catch a break. It's not just because corn prices are below break even for most. It's the fact input prices.
U.S. corn shipments have been rejected by major international buyers, sending shockwaves across the American agricultural sector. The rejected cargoes sparked outrage from former President Donald Trump, who lashed out publicly at trade officials and warned of serious consequences. But what really happened? Why were the shipments turned away? And how will this impact American farmers and the global economy? In this video, we're breaking down everything you need to know about this growing crisis, starting with the events of August 1st, 2025. On August 1st, one of the largest corn shipments from the United States was rejected at a foreign port. The reason? The receiving country cited concerns about both trade tariffs and the quality of the cargo. Reports from shipping officials mentioned that the corn did not meet newly enforced import standards, while political analysts pointed to escalating trade tensions as the real cause. This is not the first time U.S. agricultural exports have faced pushback. But this incident comes at a sensitive time when American farmers are already grappling with higher production costs, weather unpredictability, and shrinking global demand. Former President Donald Trump responded immediately to the news. In a post on his platform Truth Social, he called the incident a total disaster for American trade and blamed weak negotiators for surrendering leverage. He also suggested that the rejection was a result of President Biden's failed leadership and called for aggressive new tariffs on countries that turn away U.S. goods. Trump's comments were echoed by several conservative media outlets, fueling speculation that the rejection was more politically motivated than purely economic. At the same time, liberal commentators criticized Trump's aggressive rhetoric, warning that it could make trade relationships even more unstable. The agricultural market reacted quickly. Corn futures dropped significantly within 24 hours of the rejection, falling to nearly $3.50 per bushel, a level not seen since 2021. Traders and analysts began pulling back from U.S. corn investments, predicting more rejections if diplomatic issues aren't resolved quickly. Meanwhile, competitor countries like Canada, Brazil, and Argentina are reportedly moving fast to fill the gap. Sources from the World Commodity Exchange indicated that these countries had already secured new contracts with buyers who once depended on the U.S. for corn. For American farmers, this is more than just market news. It's a survival issue. In interviews from the Midwest, farmers have expressed fear and frustration. Many depend heavily on exports to maintain profit margins, especially after inflation increased the cost of fertilizer, fuel, and labor. They're calling on the federal government to provide immediate financial support, as well as clear communication on trade policy moving forward. This isn't the first time farmers have been caught in the crossfire of trade disputes. During Trump's presidency, retaliatory tariffs from China and the European Union hit American soybeans and pork exports hard. At that time, a $28 billion federal bailout was launched to support struggling farmers. However, critics argued that the bailout disproportionately benefited large agribusinesses over small, family-run farms. Now, as history threatens to repeat itself, the question remains, will another bailout be needed? And if so, who will benefit? Adding to the pressure is the 2024 Farm Bill, which is still awaiting Senate approval. The bill contains provisions for crop insurance, disaster assistance, and trade promotion, tools that could be crucial if rejections continue and market access continues to shrink. Outside of Washington, global reaction to the corn rejection has been mixed. Some trading partners have remained silent, while others have used the incident to push their own agricultural agendas. In Europe, environmental groups have seized the opportunity to demand tighter import controls on U.S. crops, citing concerns over pesticide usage and genetically modified organisms. In Asia, markets like Japan and South Korea are reportedly reviewing their trade deals with the U.S., considering whether to reduce reliance on American crops in favor of regional alternatives. The situation is clearly more complex than a single shipment being turned away. It reflects a deeper fragility in the global trade system, where politics, economics, and even environmental issues intersect. From a geopolitical perspective, the rejection also highlights America's decreasing influence over global commodity flows. Where once U.S. exports were the default, now buyers have more choices and less patience for policy volatility. For Trump, the crisis provides a platform to amplify his message ahead of the 2026 midterms. He's using the event to call for stronger nationalism, tighter trade controls, and more support for American producers. It's also become a rallying cry for his base, especially in rural states, where many voters feel betrayed by what they see as weak international positioning. But experts warn that turning this into a political football could backfire. Escalating trade rhetoric might lead to more rejections, not fewer. Already, Mexican and South American buyers are exploring long-term contracts with non-U.S. suppliers. If those deals are finalized, American farmers may lose entire markets permanently. At the same time, the Biden administration has remained relatively quiet. Trade representatives have confirmed that discussions are underway with affected countries, but there's been no official statement addressing Trump's accusations or the rejected shipment. Behind closed doors, however, there's concern. According to a leaked report from the Department of Agriculture, officials fear that if 3 or more major buyers reject U.S. corn within the next quarter, it could trigger a farming recession in parts of the Midwest. That risk could have ripple effects far beyond agriculture. Rural banks, crop insurance companies, and food processing plants are all connected to the success of corn farming. A downer in corn export could affect jobs, taxes, and even food prices. Financial markets are beginning to reflect that anxiety. On Wall Street, agricultural stocks have dipped. Even companies like John Deere and Archer Daniels Midland have seen short-term volatility in their share prices. So where does this leave the average American? If you're a consumer, you might not see an immediate impact on grocery store shelves. But if the crisis deepens, the effects could trickle down in the form of rising prices for corn-based products. Everything from cereal to soda to biofuel. If you're a policymaker, the pressure is on to act, either by negotiating better terms with trade partners or by supporting domestic producers before they go under. And if you're a farmer, this is yet another reminder that your future is at the mercy of decisions made thousands of miles away in boardrooms and government buildings. The rejected corn shipment might seem like just one incident, but it's a signal, a warning sign of deeper vulnerabilities in America's agricultural and trade strategy. As the story develops, we'll be watching closely. Subscribe to stay informed on the latest developments in global trade, U.S. politics, and market reactions. Leave a comment below. Do you think Trump's aggressive response will help or hurt America's farmers? And should the government step in to stop further damage? Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay informed.